Yes, I. Welcome to the Undisputed King of Kings series with your brother Beruku Rastafari. Yes, I. Shalom, shalom, shalom. So, in this series, I guess we're going to have to do the, to let everybody know, you know what I mean, that this is the Undisputed King of Kings series. The reason we call it the Undisputed King of Kings series is because we want to show we want to show the people why His Imperial Majesties, His Royal Heart, or the finger, how Hashem touched the finger, his finger with the golden pen, right? How Hashem refining the Metzahafa Kadus, the book of the seven seals for the people. And the book of the seven seals is used as a reference to testing every other doctrine, and I'm going to show this, I'm going to prove this. And this is our first video on this, matter of fact. So really what we want to do in the first place, we really want to deal with Genesis 1 and 1. Like the song say, you got to touch your finger on the golden pen to write your name up here. You know what I'm saying? So we want to deal with Genesis 1 and 1. So of course now in this series, there's a few things that we do want to have open so it doesn't cause any confusion for people, because a lot of people they get real confused and they start thinking, who knows what kind of ignoramus stuff they might start talking. People already have a lot of weird religious kind of fanatics running around in the world. It's already caused a lot of confusion, and as you can see today, here we are in the midst of this chaos in Babylon, America, Babylon, USA, Babylon, USA. You know what I'm saying? So let us keep it real. So what you see on the left side before we go to the right side, I know we got Psalm 6 on the side where you see the Ethiopian letters. So there's a few things I'm going to need you to familiarize yourself with. Okay. So on the left side is you see there that is Hebrew, right? So and also what we are doing, as the Apostle Paul says, if you're going to, if you have a language up in front of someone and they may not understand it, you at least want to be able to interpret or have the interpretation there. You see, so we're dealing with Genesis 1 and 1 on this part. Okay. It is very important to start off with Genesis 1 and 1. We could start off also with the Psalm of the day, which today was Psalm 86. And it only lets you know that we are in, what are we in here? Y'all see it? Yeah, the 4th of August. Okay. So we're in the 4th of August there. And today's Psalm today was Psalm 86, though I haven't personally checked out the Midrash for today. And I'm sure that even there, when you're looking, you'll still see the correlations. Now, what I really want you to understand in this series, because now I'm about to go over here and I'm going to show you something that's very important. So I'm going to have the Hebrew up, which is on the left side. Of course, you can see it in English what it says in the beginning, right? So if you're just an English speaker, you can't say that, oh, I don't know what verse, though. They're just making stuff up. Well, you see what it is. Now, on the right side, we're going to be dealing with 3 types of Ethiopian literature, okay? It's kind of beautiful because we're actually dealing with the liturgical. So when we say liturgical, we're more dealing with the churchical or the sacred writings of Ethiopia, and then we're making the connection with the Hebrew, and then we, the black peoples of the world, and us specifically, Yehudit, us as Judahites over here. And I'm a mainframe, where I'm from, my Afro-American Jews, Rastafari Jews. Shout out to my rabbi, you already know, Wyndham Yadon. If you don't know, you should know. You know what I mean? Go check it out, the Rastafari Jews channel. You can check out the Rebbe Alian and the Torah portion every night, except the Ehud, which is Sunday, the first day, but every night you can catch the Aliyahs and the Torah portions. Go to Rastafari Israelites on the YouTube. Okay, so those 2 channels, Rastafari Jews, Rastafari Israelites. You know what I'm saying? And come over here and check out your Beruku one when, you know, your brother Beruku can get a post in. We're not going to, you know, front like we posting all the time and all that. But, you know, when your brother can get one in, come holler at him. You know what I mean? Come holler at me, you know. So, okay, let's do this. Okay, so like we said, on the left side, we got Hebrew, right? And then, of course, you see in English that it's written on top of the Hebrew. So that gives you an explanation there. Now, when we go over here to the Ethiopian letters, this is what I want to make reference to when it comes to the Ethiopian letters. It's good for people when you're dealing with anything as far as Ethiopia, all right? Let's deal with the church in Ethiopia because this is very important right now. The significance of His Imperial Majesty, Qedamawi Haile Selassie. See, if Ethiopia was referencing His Majesty like they should, you know what I mean? Seeing that he was the last king to sit on the throne of David, 1974. And we haven't had an imperial monarchy as black people since then, okay? So we have to understand this. We talking about the monarchy coming from the Almighty. I'm not talking about other people's monarchies. I'm not even making insignificance to other kings, even in that sense, because there are reasons why there are other kings in other areas. But we're talking about here the King of Kings, specifically, okay? Not to make necessary insignificance to others, okay? And I'm glad that we come through to a lot of these learning processes so that we are able to get these things together and then we can come back and explain them to the people. You know, like recently, the Rebbe, you know, he was going over recently was speaking about how people use the terminology false gods. Okay, and they're not false gods. They're obviously real because people do worship them and they do go through spiritual and religious experiences from worshiping those gods. That's why it is not good for us to say, oh, it's false. If it's false, it wouldn't have so much control over other people's lives. Okay, so we're not saying that those gods are false, but they're not the Ha Elohim. They're not the El. You know what I mean? They're not the conquering line of the tribe of Yehuda. You see what I'm saying? That's what we trying to say. They're not the big dog. They ain't the big, you know, they ain't the big Khaled. You know what I mean? We're not talking about the rats and the cats and the MAGA dogs. We're not talking about them. That's a whole nother, you know, they leave them in the streets, huh? You know what I mean? Leave that in the street. We talking about the big boys. We talking about the big dog, the one who run things. You know what I mean? The big lion. You know what I mean? The king of the jungle. You know? So on that note, then we understand that there's a reason why the Almighty, you know, and you know, even for us, also learning process. I'm learning, you know, why people have the worship systems that they have and the spiritual systems that they have. You know what I mean? And I thank His Imperial Majesty for letting us know that the mysticisms, you know, do share a spiritual passion there. But you know why? The only reason they even share that passion, honestly, is because of the love of Christ, the passion of Christ. You know, that's why a lot of us need to get acquainted with Maccabees book 4. Because if you really a soldier for Christ, I mean, you truly a soldier for Christ, go read Maccabees book 4 and meditate on that for a while. You know what I mean? If you truly a soldier of Christ, like you say you is, you know what I mean? So now, on the right side here, we got Psalm 6 up. I know Psalm 6 was the other day's psalm, but what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you something so we can make some correlation. So we'll have four specific Black Hebrew Afro-Shemitic tongues up here right now. We're going to have 4 different styles of Hebraism. I'm going to use that terminology for right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, as we go throughout the series, it's a never-ending series anyway. You know what I mean? Because it's verse for verse. You know, precept upon precept, line upon line. You know what I mean? So let us go over here to demonstrate here. So as we were saying, if you're going to deal with Ethiopia, and also let me give a shout out to give, you know, not necessarily shouting out, but give credit. I'm getting some credit. And, you know, if it's a shout, it's a shout out. Giving credit where credit is due to the apps that stepping up and upgrading in the right places. Job bless. Because one thing that's interesting about this app that I'm finna show y'all right now over here on the right side with the Ethiopian letters, I like the fact that it was beautiful that it had Amarinya, right? The Amharic Bible, you see that? And the quality now, and this is what's beautiful about this app, and I really want to give to you guys, I thank you so much for this app. This app right here has been very helpful for me. The reason it's been helpful for me, and there's something else that I saw too that really, it made me more familiarized. But the reason that this app has been so helpful for me is because of the fact that it has the Amarinya on there, right? And I didn't even know, but it said to be after the right there where you see up here. Let me see. Well, y'all might not be able to see it. Okay, y'all can't see it on the screen, so I'm not gonna be able to do that because it'll cut me off. So let's go back. Okay, so what we have here is at the top, right, on the right-hand screen, you see it says Bible versions, right? So the next, down the list on the next one, it says Amharic Bible, right? Now, what it says right there in the Ethiopian letters, for those of you who can't read the Ethiopian letters, what it says is Amarinya, that's the first word. The second two words are the names of His Majesty's Bible. Metze, Hafe, Kaduse. And if you look there where it says Amharic Bible and where the first word says Amarinya, and then the next two words are the name of His Imperial Majesty's Bible, you'll notice that those are 7 letters. Metze, Hafe, Kaduse. You see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So those are the 7 letters of the Metzahafa Kadus, which we call the book. Well, we don't call it that. In the prophecy and the revelation and the mystery system, we get the understanding that the book of the 7 seals, how it matches with a form of the 7 seals. So the 7 seals in Revelation 5:5, where it says, he who is worthy, right? He who is worthy to loosen the book. Remember, John was crying. He's like, man, who's going to be able to open this book? You know what I mean? Right? Johannes, what they call him, John the Revelator, you know what I'm saying? John was crying. You know what I'm saying? He was like, man, who's going to be able to open this book? Who's going to be able to open this book? And they said, look not, weep not, fear not. The conquering line of the tribe of Yehuda, Judah. And that's why you always hear us mentioning Haile Selassie, Qedamawi, Haile Selassie, the King of Kings, Christ, the King of Kings, Christ. In his kingly character, the Father Christ, the fatherhood of Christ. Can we do that again? We don't do it like Umar. We're gonna be like Umar. The fatherhood of Christ. I said the fatherhood. No, I ain't gonna do it like that. But yeah, yes, the fatherhood of Christ, though. Just to get the point across. I ain't gonna pick at Umar there. But I mean, even on that level with Umar, if y'all would have saw the King of Kings a long time ago for who he really was, you would have saw through ones like Umar and many others out there, because he ain't the only one. There's others out there that's just, you know what I mean? And they kind of throw this in your face because this is the meaning of the terminology, like we're going to get into why they call Israel over there in the West, and those who are absent of really understanding these language systems like this, the lost sheep, you know what I'm saying? The lost sheep. So what we're going to do here, like I said, so we're dealing with the Amarinya, where it says Metzahafe Kadus, right? We're talking about the book of the 7 seals right there on the right side of the screen where it says Amharic Bible, right? Now, after that, third is it says Gu'uz Bible right there. We see where it says Gu'uz Bible. Okay, now it says Gu'uz. This is what's interesting. It says Gu'uz now, and it says Metzahafe Kadus, right? Now, I would assume that because it says that, we can see that it makes reference to the King of Kings, touching his finger on the golden pen and revising the Amharic Bible for us. So this is Christ in his kingly character revising the new Amharic Bible for us. But because our people are tribal, and there are over, I think, like 80 different black nationalities in Ethiopia. I remember hearing the Rebbe speaking about that on a video on the Rastafari Jews. You know, it was one of the recent videos where he's speaking to, was it the Africans, or he was going over the Gullah Geechee, the cavalry warriors, the soldiers back from the Civil War days. Might have been that one, but you know, some good vids, and they need to pick up some traction too, so we can get this word going across, get this education out here, so the people can wake up. Give credit where credit is due. Shout out Ibrahim Traore, to his sister wife, his family, you know, for the strength of the people of Burkina Faso and the military force. May Jah be with you, love you, hold it down, you know what I'm saying? Let no man take your crown, you know what I'm saying? And pray for the decolonialization of Burkina Faso, all of Africa, as well as the whole world, okay? So let us go here real quick. Okay, so we in the Goods. We over here. We got the Goods up. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you something. Also, we're going to be making a mention of Nipsey Hussle. We're going to be making a mention of Nipsey Hussle. We're going to keep Hussle in our mind because, you know, Hussle was from Tigray. He was a Tigranian, right? And, you know, Hussle and them, you know, it kind of make a lot of sense. You know, Black Sam now, one interesting about Black Sam was Nipsey Hussle's brother. He never joined a set. He never got in no set or no gang or nothing like that. You know what I mean? And I find that very interesting. The reason I find that interesting because us brothers that's able to see the love of your brothers and your soldiers out there, that's, you know, because a lot of times they get into, well, not a lot of times that they do get in the gang, it's a good chance that they're going to be led astray down the wrong path or to some wickedness or to some Satanism. You know what I'm saying? Now, I am against that for sure. You know what I'm saying? We bring the sword out to that all day and never withdraw it from blood. You know what I'm saying? That's real because we don't want our people a part of nothing that's of wickedness and Satanism. You understand? But we want them right over here with Jah soldiers and Jah army and, you know, being righteous and good people. You know what I'm saying? Where they can look at themselves as good leaders and role models to the young black youth that's coming up now. This is very important that us brothers, we stay like soldiers. We stay like some Maccabee trained soldiers in these times. You know what I'm saying? So get rid of this colonialism and all these other things on the earth. Ism, schism, right? Fighting against ism, schism, you know? So now over here, like we said, we'll be mentioning Nipsey Hussle. The reason I'm mentioning Nipsey Hussle, because, you know, he grew up in Tigrinya. And I remember it's one of Nipsey's murals over there in L.A. I got to get the picture. If any of you brothers get the picture, please, you know, send it to the eye. You know what I'm saying? If I can find it. I did see it on a documentary. It is on a documentary out there, though. They have a mural of Nipsey Hussle, and they have some Ethiopian letters written right there next to it. Right? And it's in Tigray, you know, and I was like, wow, you know, that was very interesting to me, right? Because now when we look over here at the liturgical side for the Church of Tigray, the Church of Ethiopia, and then we'll put the Gu'as in there. The Gu'as is the ancient, I want to say the ancient archetype. I'm not specifically expressing that maybe etymologically correct, though we're hitting in the right area. We know that the Gu'as is the ancient version, you know what I mean? And there's a many of ancient versions. The good thing about it is it did have some liturgical weight. Now, there's a version that they just did recently, and that's why I'm doing this Undisputed King of Kings, because we realized that that priest that, you know, he set up when they told him that the Jews were black people, you know, like the real Israelites are black people. And this is no, you know, we're not mad at the people who are Israel in their heart, and they not the black race that would defeat the entire purpose, because there's supposed to be one Torah, one law for all of us. You understand? So we don't pick on people about their race and stuff like that, because that's what they did to us. And they're currently still trying to do those things now, try to hold it back, that they don't know who we are, that they don't know that we, the black people, we are truly the Jews. And a lot of this, I'm going to tell you something too. a lot of this, the way we've been treated evil for 400 years, I'm starting to understand what Hashem was talking about. You know what I mean? And black people, you have to be careful yourself. Don't victimize yourself in disbelief. See, when you got too much disbelief, you become victimized by certain situations that would otherwise it go right over your head. It would be nothing to you. You walk on water. You know what I'm saying? But because we have, kind of fell in the traps, and we all have fell in the traps. You know what I mean? Some of us worse than others. You know what I'm saying? And you know how they say you can dig the pit to hell and you Jah's there. You know what I'm saying? If you dig that pit to hell, he's still there. So hopefully you can get back out before you dig too far. You know what I'm saying? Or you can start climbing out if so. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause remember, the road to hell is paved even with good intent. And let me say that again. The road to hell, you've heard that saying before. The road to hell is paved with good intent. So the fantasia that, when they say Yeshua is Mediterranean, right? Like, is that a way to try to say, so you can try to say he's not black? Is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to avoid Amos 9:6 on us? Aren't you as the children of the Ethiopians to me, O Israel? Is this what you're trying to show my people? You still trying to lie to us, right? And our young black youth is still a little bit lost and confused. And I have to be thankful to some of the congregations because, when we dealing with the people, when we look at the people on the street, it's, especially those who try to help out the poor, see the homeless, have some care for poor people, because the passion of Christ is also some care for the poor. But even though you care for them, it don't mean that you're supposed to let them pervert justice. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean, I care for you, you can just do whatever you want. No. You're going to get the same. You do something that you ain't supposed to do, you going to get the same thing that a rich person will. I'm not going to treat y'all no different. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we don't respect faces. You know what I'm saying? I respect the truth, the way, and the life if one is following that. If you ain't following that, then it's going to be a problem. It's going to be problematic. What's that sister that sang the song? They got hit with the and, don't even say nothing. It's just You know what I mean? Kind of remind me of Faniha. They got hit with the scar lip. That's the sister, scar lip. That song she had. You know what I mean? So like we said, the reason we mentioned Nipsey Hussle and I mentioned Black Sam is because those who join a gang, like once you join a gang, you automatically become part of tribalism. And then, bad tribalism, because this is another thing. Not all tribalism is bad. There are good parts of tribalism, traditions, good traditions that are passed down from Hashem that keep us, as we say, Tame, clean. You know what I'm saying? I must have said that right. Was it Tame? Right? Clean, right? Pure and clean. We're going to get into the words here as we go forward, I just wanted to bring the introduction in. I do kind of go all over the place, so I'll probably have to be very kind of long-winded so I can make some very direct points. Cause Beruku do sometime I go all over the place, you know what I'm saying? But that's the spirit in the eye. Just really want you to know, and it's much to that I would like to share, that I've educated myself on, that I would like to share with other brothers and sisters too. You know what I'm saying? And we can build on this. But as we said, it must be respected. Haile Selassie must be lifted. You know what I'm saying? Well, he lived, Jah lived. Jah's the one who has the power. You know what I mean? Jah had the power to, you know what I mean? And Yeshua, the Most High, Jesus Christ, I can't forget, by I big brother. You know what I mean? Big brother, Jesus Christos, Jah bless. You know what I'm saying? Adonai, he who comes with the sword. You know what I mean? Think not that he came to bring peace around here. You know what I mean? Be careful, right? So, let's see. Yeah, that's the reason we mentioned Nipsey and the tribalism, because if you'll notice, even back, there's many forms of bad tribalism that have us going to war with each other, right? We end up warring with each other as a people, okay? That's why you had these different dynamics of tribalism. I mean, I'm not even gonna mention the name. I didn't even know no reason to even mention the names of certain gangs. What for? You know what I'm saying? I mean, ain't really no point in that because you already know that there are different gangs out there. And see, once you become a part of any bad tribalism, you automatically have enemies. If it's bad tribalism because it's following wickedness and Satanism, and this is what we're speaking about. We're talking about the wickedness and the Satanism. And I think a lot of brothers, they're not innately, well, I'm not going to say they're not innately because some might, some are, can graft in innate wicked and evilness in themselves. So I'm not going to say that that can't be done. Though I will say this, many brothers back in the day, when we go back in times before, now it's a lot of clout. It's a bunch of clout and demonic clout chasing. But, be careful with that because you're going to catch what you're going to catch. When you catch it, it's going to be what it's going to be. You know what I mean? Back in the day, a lot of the brothers, when they were joining gangs, they were teenagers. They were teenagers, underdeveloped minds. And it's come to a point now where I truly believe that a mind is really underdeveloped until you're 40. Or, in my opinion, depending on how you learn, how you're receiving, how you Kabbalah, how's your reception, you know what I mean? Because not everybody's reception is the same. You know what I mean? Why? Because a reception is based off of two things, the red and the blue pill, right? So you can either have control or you got the choices, right? The choices or the control, right? And like the Rebbe said concerning Umar, and shout out to the Rebbe on that video, Dr. Umar, that, what is it? African, panhandling Africans. You know what I'm saying? Panhandling Africanism. You know what I mean? And those two choices, like he took both. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing kind of even what Marcus Garvey did. He kind of undermined it. I don't know how much so. I can't go into that, but I do know he did undermine the person of His Imperial Majesty Qedamawi, Haile Selassie, the King of Kings, Ha Elohim, the Father Christ. You know what I mean? The Almighty. You know what I mean? The Almighty's Father. So I do believe he undermined his who he is, who His Imperial Majesty is. Many of us, or many ones, not I and I, but many ones out there, or whoever's still doing it, undermining who His Imperial Majesty is, that'll be the key to your life or death situation. You know what I mean? It's like the keys to life, or you can be written in the book of life, or you can be written in the book of death in hell. So it's just. But I'm going to keep it simple. You can be written in the book of life or otherwise. I'm not going to go into the other, because there's a specification for everything. You know what I mean? So we don't want to add what don't need to be added, especially when we're still learning, Torah and Ethiopian Hebrews, us as Ethiopian Hebrews, us as Black Jews, still getting acquainted with this. And since me personally, I don't speak any of the languages fluently, not Hebrew and not Amharic, but I give thanks to Hashem that I've been studying over the last 15 years, the liturgy, the spiritual mystery system. And now I can break down any word with great understanding. If you understand that, you know what I'm saying? So let's go over here. And that's the reason I had mentioned Nipsey Hussle, because like I said, he went and got into the gang bang and all the tribalism stuff. But I like the fact that Black Sam didn't get in the gang. And he's still a soldier. You know what I'm saying? It don't mean that a brother don't need to be in a gang to be a soldier. You need to be about Christ in your heart, about Hashem. Don't be worried about nothing else. You know what I'm saying? To be a soldier. Because, as long as you ain't messing with nobody. Now, somebody try to play you, then do what you got to do. That's what it's all about. Then you can see the warrior come out. You know what I mean? But we don't be being picked on or bullied by nothing. Don't get picked on or bullied by nothing. It don't matter if somebody in a gang or not. If it's wickedness and evil, you stomp it out. Period. And that's what it is. It flames out, period. Or Hashem gonna flame it out or flood it out or tornado it out or whatever. He got lightning strike it out or let them kill themselves, whatever. The evil shall destroy the wicked. We already know. We don't bow down to none of that. All right? But we are Jah's children. We are Hashem's people, you know? Green, gold, and red with the lion on it. With the lion and with the crown on it. And keep the cross on it, too. Don't take the cross off like them fake pictures they got on some of these other platforms that I've seen. You know what I'm saying? Well, if we need to show you the real one, we'll show you the real one. So, okay, let's go back here so we can get into this. All right, keep on pressing. Okay, go to the goods. We're in the goods. So, now if you look here on the right, what we're going to do, bam, you saw that? Okay, so here we are. Now we are coming to the first stages of what we intend to do. Okay, we're still over there in Psalm 6. Let's come back out of Psalm 6 real quick. Let's go to, not a psalm. Let's go to Orit Zefiteret, which is Genesis over here. And we're on the right side of the page. Okay. Okay, we got that. All right, let's go here. Genesis 1:1, because that's where we at on this Undisputed King of Kings. Getting you ready for the series as we continue. All right. Now, what you see here, this is very important now. So now we got, if I had to say, 3 different Hebraic armies. You know what I'm saying? It kind of like, let me give you an example. We'll use the gangs for now. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like having like, you know, like, how can I say, what's another, I want to use some of my brown people, my black brown people, or my brown people that's more related to black folks. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to use these 3 because that's the only aspect of it that will kind of give it to you so you can relate to like how it becomes tribalism. So now the people, being that they represent the children of Israel's one blood, that one blood is the children of Israel. But now in the bad tribalism sense, it can be broken down into like 3 senses. You have, I'm on the right side of the screen. So we're on the right side of the screen. Look at the Ethiopian letters. At the top there is goods. Okay, that's good. That's supposed to be liturgical goods. Okay, we dealing with liturgical. Liturgical meaning we dealing with the word of Hashem. We're dealing with the Bible, not necessarily just how people speak regularly. And you know, like because there's a certain type of, you know, there's a regular form of speaking in the languages where, you know, the people just going about their day or just going from day to day. But this is the sacred. This is the sacred. It's where we get holy. We get into the Christ vision. You know what I mean? So we're on another level of dealing with the language now. So we're on the God level of dealing with the language, not on the people level. That's more natural. We're on the God level. The God level, you know what I'm saying? That's a higher value. And this is what we want people to understand. This is why His Imperial Majesty's version is the undisputed truth. Now we know this. And His Majesty is warning you not to try to belittle His character. You saw the flood that happened in Ethiopia on July 23rd. Yes, Ethiopia flooded July 23rd. I don't know if people had seen that. Now, I don't wish no floods on anyone or anything like that. Though, if I had to say that the Lord was speaking, you can go look at the reasons why floods do come, right? We know fornication was one of them too, right? Can you fornicate the Almighty's word? Is Israel an unfaithful bride? Man, how are these words, man? And it's just coming to me like that. I mean, I'm just thinking like, you know, like how Hashem would think like, man, how is this even, you know what I mean? It's deep like that. You know, so on the right side of the screen, right, we have at the top, that's goods, right? And then in the mist, in the Tawek, in the Mekakale, right? When you hit you with a little Hebrew in them hard there. In the Tawek, in the Tawek, in the Makakale, in the Mahahale. I think in the liturgical, we go back into the good, it'd be like Mahahale, Mahahale, right? Yeah, I had seen that before, just going over some readings. It's very important when we go over these readings, we start to get acquainted more with the language and the roots, and it'll bring us back to just one people. Though this is the reason why we should be one people, you know, we, the black peoples of the world. And maybe we need to bring back the OAU, the Organization of African Unity, but though I really think that what we should do is try to work through the Ethiopian World Federation, the original Ethiopian World Federation. Be careful, don't get caught up in any other type of EWS. Make sure it's the root one, right? Make sure it's the root one. The 1936, we have to post a link up soon. Which one that is, we'll have to do that because that's very important. But, and also shout out to the brothers and sisters at the Ethiopian World Federation doing their work. And more should be grafted over to the Ethiopian World Federation. Should have been a lot of other brothers and sisters supposed to be famous and making money and stuff like that, not even helping their people. I think that's cold. I don't know what you're doing out there. I don't know what you're doing, because a lot of people claim they about the truth and they about this and that, and if you truly see who His Majesty is, then I know I'll see you there. You know what I'm saying? But if I don't see you there, then I know something ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Something ain't right. And something ain't been right for a long, long time. It remind me of, what's that song? Behind Selassie, and then get, you know what I mean? Oh Lord, it's been long. Oh Lord, how long? You know what I mean? I feel like that spirit is in I and I too sometimes. I have to say like, how long, man? How long, Jah? Rastafari, and still in that sense, pray for the mercy. But at the same time, man, how long, So, as we said, so the top part, we're on the right side of the screen with the Ethiopian letters, just to keep, so we can keep up. And the top one is Gu'us. We said that. And the second now here is Amharic. The middle one, remember we said the Tawek, the Makakale. Now over here, this third one, which it was interesting to me because I had never had it, I never really looked into Tigrinya before, you know what I'm saying? And I thought it was cool. So it offered another level. And this is like the green, gold, and red, brothers and sisters. This is kind of like the idea. You get the vision of the green, gold, and red. This is the vision of the green, gold, and red. I never got the chance to really look at Tigrinya. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at the Tigray, and it's like all of them, when I put them together, and I give thanks to the King of Kings, Qedamawi, Haile Selassie, love the eye for, revising us. You know what I mean? The Metzahafa Kadus, the revised Amharic Bible. You know what I mean? The royal, which I call the royal, And it helps me to understand how His Majesty, out of His love for all of His people, He brought everything together. He took what was of the old school, like the old school, the Gu'us, and then, the new school. Who the young brother used to have a rap song, the old school, and the new, something about my old school look better than your new school. I remember my OG used to tell me that back in it's an old song, but he used to tell me that like 10, 20 years ago. When I used to see him back in the gap, he's like, man, my old school look better than your new school, Yeah, so as we were saying though, this is like the vision, the green, gold, and red. And His Majesty, he was bringing he brought this language system together as one, and he purified it. And that's where we get, the Makakale, the Tawek, in the midst, right? Because Jah said He'll dwell in the midst of His people. Now, I was going to put the Amarinya, I could put it above the Gu'us because, as concerning His Majesty, concerning His Imperial Majesty, I could have put it above the Gu'us because His Majesty being the Father Christ in His kingly character, you know what I mean? The Almighty Ha Elohim, You know what I'm saying? Or the Father of the Almighty. You know? Being that his is the supreme. It's the main one. It's the one that should be taken with the fullest and utmost. It should be put up to the top. So something's going on in Ethiopia if they not referencing the King of Kings at the top, the Rosh. You know what I'm saying? That's the head of the church. You know what I'm saying? His Majesty is head of church and state. You know what I mean? You even see these same details if you go over the Constitution. Like if you go over the His Imperial Majesty's revised Constitution of Ethiopia, the main one, the 1955 is very interesting because it's called the revision. But I mean, even if you do, I have before, I actually made some videos of it. If you can find them on here, you just go back and look. But I did a couple videos on them. I probably need to do them again. And they were kind of long because I went over every article. And it was dealing with the 1931 Constitution and the 1955 revised Constitution of His Imperial Majesty. So here, if we look on this side, right, and we look in the middle, right there is Amarinya, right? So we're on the right side with the Ethiopian letters, and we're in the middle. And the last one we were just saying is Tigrinya, which is Nipsey Hussle's language, right? This is Nipsey Hussle's language. Now, what happened, what they really want us to do, they really want us, the enemy, right? Or Ha-Satan, those who are ran by the adversary, they really want us to fight over all of this. They want us to, all of this to be separate and us to be fighting against each other, right? But His Majesty, He showed us how we are one people, and all of us speaking like, it's almost like slangs of what He put together and refined 7 times. And purity, like silver is tried, right? Silver is tried in the furnace 7 times, right? 7 times tried, silver in the furnace. That's what Amarinya, like the revelation, the mystery system of Amarinya, the middle one, that's what that is, right? So there's some certain details that's very important, and we want to relate this also to the Hebrew, okay? So over here on the left side, you'll see that's Genesis 1:1. We're on the left side now. And then you see the Hebrew under Genesis 1:1. Now, what verse are we dealing with, right? Let's go with the verse are we dealing with. Also, something over here that's pretty cool about this app. Shout out to you brothers and sisters who made this app. Let me find the name of it and give y'all a shout out. I really appreciate it. Also to IO, the software. Y'all do a very good job too. Thank you. If you got it up to par with His Imperial Majesty's work, Beruku respect you. I pray for you. God bless you. Thank you for that. And may Hashem bring you a good blessing. Give thanks for your good works. You know what I'm saying? So let's see here. Okay, so you'll see there right there at the bottom on the right side, it says King James. So in the King James version, it's in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, right? Now, and then they even put a standard English there, which you thought was cool. So if we really want to get real, right, it's kind of like you being, let's say it's like you being in a neighborhood in LA, right? In a neighborhood in LA with some bad let's say we looked at it from a bad tribalism perspective, right? We can go on the left side and let's count how many, right? So we got the on the left side, you get the King James Version in English in the beginning, right? That's 1. Then you got the Hebrew, the Masoretic text. That's 2. Now you got the Gu'as. That's 3. That's another gang. Then you got the Amharic, right? 4th. That's another gang, the Amarinya. Then you got the Tigrinya. That's 5. It'd be like 5 different gangs sharing the neighborhood. Now, you know how that's going to go. In bad tribalism, there's going to be a lot of murder, a lot of bloodshed, a lot of killing. And that's what colonialism wants. That's why they don't want us to, you know what I'm saying, to take root in that we these Ethiopian Hebrews, we these black Jews, you know what I'm saying? Could be the first Trump, might as well be the last. I think the last is worse than the first, if you ask me, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? Though who knows, maybe, maybe he might wake up and say, do some righteousness, whatever he's going to do that's righteous. Though, still, we here not withdraw a sword from blood and no respect to persons. You know what I'm saying? I'm not respecting the persons. If you serve Hashem, you serve Jah Rastafari, and blessings of goodness in the name of the Almighty. Jah bless you. If not, and then it's, you know, then I pray that you get there. I don't wish any ill intent on you. I do hope that you will overcome that spirit that you are carrying. But if you become a threat, the sword coming. Let me just put it like that. You know what I'm saying? So as we said, okay, where was we at? Yeah, it's like dealing with like in some bad tribalism, you know, but I give thanks to His Majesty for making this oneness, So how do we familiarize? So now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how there's a relationship between the Guttas, right? Well, give thanks to His Imperial Majesty for the pure language, you know what I mean? For the Book of the Seven Seals. And like we said on the right side, that's dealing with the middle, the Amarenya. You know what I mean? This is directly dealing with His Majesty. So the middle one is directly dealing with His Majesty. Let's get that right. Not the one with the Guttas, not the one, you know, well, not even the Tigrinya one, because it's kind of like not even that one. And I don't think it was intended that, I don't believe the people intended to be tribal. It's just that they would just have a different tribe. You know what I'm saying? It's like Oromo and Amharas. Let me use the Oromo and Amharas, for example. You know, like the Oromo and Amharas, they're just different tribes. But some evil wickedness, you know, when there's bloodshed between us, it's evil and wickedness going on. Some want to divide and conquer us. You know, kind of remind you like, almost like the U.S. flag. You know how some of you say the U.S. flag? Ain't it interesting, the U.S. flag? You got what? Red, white, and blue. What's in between the blue and the red? What's in between it? Ah, okay. Let me hit you with another one, which is really another series. Look at Mexico. Mexico fought for their independence, right? From Spain, right? From colonial Europe, well, colonial Spain, colonial white Spain. They fought for their independence. Somehow, they ended up still there with some tribalism, right? Because we're experiencing it today, right? Where other peoples, this form of tribalism will cause them not to get along with another group of people. People might use race. It could be a racial thing. It could be other things. It could be language barrier. You know what I mean? But I want you to walk on water, man. You got to walk on all the petty BS and understand that there's a spirit, there's an evil and there's a wicked spirit that want us to be fighting amongst each other. And we really need to understand this and overcome, because they really, a lot of time, what I learned about victimization is when one could victimize themselves by perpetuating a victim mentality on yourself, okay? So it's kind of like you putting yourself in a situation, you saying, oh, this is bad for me, that's bad for me, but you're placing it by saying that. So if you even say that, you placed yourself there. You know what I'm saying? Don't even do that. You want to spread prospering and love because you want to prosper and grow in the light. You know what I mean? But the only way you're going to do that is with love. If you do things with hatred, you'll sink or you'll fall. There's no way to build with hatred. There's vanity, the love of materialism. And many have such a big love for materialism and even money in that sense that can make the rich man evil, even though innately from Hashem, or what was given to a man innately, it wasn't intended to be evil. Hashem made that man. That man's rich for a reason. You see what I'm saying? Though now, in a situation where the rich man chooses to be an evil man and be greedy and do cruel things to poor people in the world, and all, now that's him abusing what Hashem gave him. So that's why we have Psalm 49, which is death, right? Death, the leveler. He levels. Death is the leveler between us who are poor and rich. It doesn't matter how rich or poor we are. When death comes, we're the same, right? Yeah, because no matter how many riches you got, you will never buy your way into the kingdom of heaven ever. And you know that. So it's best for us to just deal with the truth, okay? Deal with the roots of the truth. So here we're over in Genesis chapter 1. And of course, I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, it's going to be another video on the same verse because, the introduction went so all over the place. I'm hoping that I didn't lose my peoples in the understanding. Just breaking down and saying other things that I felt like truly needed to be said, So now over here, if you look on the right side, right? On the right side of the screen, dealing with the Ethiopian letters now, okay? Because they obviously, even over here in Ethiopia, what it shows us is that we're dealing with 3 different language systems with the same Fidel, okay? With the same Fidel. And I'm going to tell you, I give thanks to Jah Rastafari for the revised version of the Metahafid Kadus, because now we're able to know that all of this is an aspect of Hebraism or that Tawahido or that one true faith, What's the Shema? Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, right? Jah Rastafari, the Lord your God is one. Is one. You know what I'm saying? I think that's very, very important to know as we getting into this study, this undisputed King of Kings. So I'm going to have to take to the Ethiopian church and to my Ethiopian government over there, brothers and sisters, in this fight against colonialism and bringing our people into one. Hey, put some respect on the king's name over there. You know what I'm saying? Put the monarchy back up. Fix the flag. Put the Lion of Judah back on the flag. John not dead. You know what I mean? Don't you know? He could never die. Jah could never die. You know what I mean? Yahweh could never die. You know what I'm saying? It's all life because he's not the God of the dead, but he's the God of the living. You know what I mean? We need to put some respect on Qedamawi, Haile, Selassie, Jah Rastafari name. Okay? Very, very important. We put some respect on his name. You know what I mean? On the Shem. You know what I'm saying? Because we the Afro-Shemitic people. That's how I say it. Yeah, I know Semitic. My people Semitic to my Jews, my Hasidic Jews, my true Jews. You know what I'm saying? God bless you too, man. It's beautiful when you carry on in righteousness and goodness. It's good to see a man carry on in goodness and righteousness. I don't care what his race is or his color, because none of that don't matter. But now when you lie and you say he wasn't Ethiopian, to say he's not an Ethiopian, to say he's not a black man is to say he's not an Ethiopian. Aren't you as the children of the Israelites aren't you as the children of the Ethiopians to me, O Israel? Always remember that. Remember that right there. That'll never go away. You know what I'm saying? And Hashem will fight you all the way. We'll fight you all the way out until this is known. But put some respect on the King of Kings' name. Qedamawi, Haile Selassie, Jah Rastafari. Know what I'm saying? Yeah. Amen. So, yeah, here we go. We done started, right? We're in the series. And before I go deeply into the verses now, I just want to set this video right and in place since we already on the go here. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to let's go ahead and deal with the first word, okay? Let's go ahead and deal here with the first word here. So in the beginning, you see over there on the left side of the screen, in the beginning, Ha Elohim created the heaven and the earth, right? Under that, we had that in the Hebrew, and it's beautiful because now we have all the references with the numbers also that we can relate to when we're dealing with the Hebrew, okay? So those of you brothers and sisters that deal with Hebrew. So my brothers and sisters doing the paleo, shout out to paleo. I have my, the paleo dialect is more based off of Northern Samaritan kind of dialect, right? And there's some ancient, some ancient custom that might have used them a certain type of way. But I'm going to be honest with you, it's more just based on studying and everything like that, is more of a northern kind of a taken to, like a Samaritan, a Canaanite taken to, all right? And it gets us away from the Ethiopian Hebrew part, okay? Kind of pulls us away from it. Because you need to understand the Hebrew with the jots and the tittles in it, before you can try to reference something else like the paleo. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that the ones don't need to reference paleo. I just think that it's very, very important to me that you get a good study on the Masoretic text of the Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? With the jots and the tittles. Because, Yeshua says not a jot nor a tittle shall go from the law. You understand? So brothers out there trying to abbreviate certain words, if you're not mastered in, you already know how it is said, right? You may be doing a disservice to your education. And, I just want to make that clear. Now, the first word here we're going to deal with, which I thought was cool, because I remember when I was studying this, there was many visions that came in my mind when I was studying Genesis, or, what they call in the English called Genesis, the Hebrew, what we call the Bereshit, in the Bereshit. And in the Amharic, you know what I mean? In the Amharic, what we call the Belui Kidan, the Old Testament. Okay. So now Genesis 1:1 is like words that tell of several eternities. There were several eternities that Hashem had built before Earth. Right. I think there's like 7 general ones that, they're in another book, but I don't want to get into that right now because that's kind of going very far out of the way of what I'm trying to do. And that's more a part of the mystery lesson. I'll get to that later. That's more of deep conversions I have with some of my elder brethren and things like that. We still are, educating ourselves and studying those areas very particularly right now, because again, there's a lot going on out there and people start making up things. And that's why also this priest who, in Ethiopia, that monk who he said he bought out a new Gutta's liturgical book with like 81 to 88 books or something like that. It's written in Gutta's, right? And the problem with that is I'm not going to even say that may even be problematic in that sense, but we know it's problematic when you have a disregard for the King of Kings, Qedamawi, Haile, Selassie. And you got a disregard for us as black people being the Israelite. You have a disregard for Amos 9:7, but you got the nerve to call yourself an Ethiopian priest. How dare you? How dare you? You know what I mean? And that kind of, if that fury or that anger in me, if Jah, you know what I mean? And good thing that Hashem, he have mercy on his people who don't know no better, But those of you who have rejected the King of Kings and you in charge over there, we need to talk about some things. We got to get some things back in order here because we want to get the people together and do things the right way now under the eyes of the Almighty. You know what I'm saying? And that's all we seeking to do. It ain't to be big mind, big mindism, right? Big mindism, schism, because our brothers is big mind. I'm the big mind. I'm God. According to them, they split the Red Sea and Rastafari, you know what I mean? So, as we said, now dealing with Genesis where it says in the beginning up there, you see on the left side of the screen, and then in the Hebrew here, and this is a good thing. That's why we kind of put the Hebrew on this side. What I kind of like about this app and the way it kind of, the cloud technology, it's already kind of translated in the Google translation. And they kind of give you they'll give you like a brief translate, like say we did that right there. And it even tell you kind of how it's spelled. Bereshit, right? Was his Genesis, right? And pulling out the IOTA software, we're also able to do like we get like a minor translation of it dealing with the Google too. So, I kind of am thankful for some of these things that technology has equipped us better with. We are fighting a war a wicked racial war where they want to lie and say that we the black Jews is not the Israelites. We know we the real Israelite. And the language is Yehudit. Because a lot of ones be asked, like, what was they doing back in the day? It's Yehudit. It's called Yehudit. There is nothing that says it's Hebrew language. You see right here, it says Masoretic text. Hebrew is a spirituality and a religion. Well, it's really a spirituality for those, because others have turned it into some other type of religion for themselves and call themselves Hebrews. But I'm not finna get into all of that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to stay with the roots right now. So over here, like I said, when we look at Bereshit, we're going to go on. Now, I want you to come with me on the right side of the screen. I'm going to leave Bereshit highlighted for a reason. The reason I'm leaving Bereshit highlighted is because we're going to go into the other beginning words in the other three languages dealing with the Ethiopian Fidel, okay? So right now, we just tagged the Hebrew. So we got the Hebrew highlighted there, Bereshit on the left side, okay? So now on the right side, the reason is that with this app, and God bless them, but they probably still upgrading, and perhaps it may even upgrade into the system, into the system better, and we be able to highlight words. Though we're not able to highlight the words on the right side with this app currently at the moment. So what we want to show here is that the first word in the Gu'as at the top, right? So we're on the right side in the Ethiopian part, right? We're not in the middle part. We're not in the Tigrinya. We're not in Amarinya, which is, the pure language of the King of Kings. We're not in the middle. We're not in the last one, Tigrinya. We're here at the top, the very, very top, and the very first word, right? Right here where it says it's the Gu'as we're dealing with. Now, when we say the first word, right, you might be looking, depending on where you're looking at the top of the screen. We're not talking about in the very, very top with the purple part, where, we're not talking about the purple part, the second line that has Genesis in it. And that first word right there, where is a one next to it, that's Zefiteret. Okay, that just means Genesis. Well, I don't want to get in the whole English version of the Genesis, because that right there is like, there's a whole nother concept with the Europeans with Genesis and the name and all. I don't really want to get in all that. Though what they were translating from, what has been translated from, we know it says Zefiteret, right? Right here is Zefiteret, okay? So now after that line, in the first verse, the first word right there, it says Qedamawi. And I mean, I'm not even gonna front. It automatically reminded me of Qedamawi, Haile Selassie. And I saw that right there, and I thought that was beautiful. And in the Hebrew, we're going to relate words. So now in the Gu'as, like I said, that first word there is Qedamawi, was Bekeh, like the click sound. They go to click sound also. So we want to talk about like language origination is interesting, because some brethren, we have been speaking about language origination, and many brethren believe like that, like the click sound, like the Q sound in the English, but without the U. If you've been paying attention to the Rebbe on the Rastafari Jews or the Rastafari Israelites, if you ever have, paid attention to that before, you'll know that we've been talking about that click sound, or he's been speaking about on that click sound, how there's really no U there in our language system. So in the roots of the language system, there's no U behind the Q. Though, getting into the English and all that, for some reason they put the U behind Q sounds. It's like you see a quake, there'll be a U, quake, a quail, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I want to use some other words, square, you know what I'm saying? Words like that. But now the click sound for us is just a, you know what I'm saying? And so this right here is a bek, not a ka, a ko. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like the vowel language system there, right? But it's a ke. I remember not too long ago, was watching, there was an African tribe, I think that I was watching a documentary and they went to go see them and they spoke with these click sounds. And I mean, they spoke very well. Another brethren was reminding me we was talking about language. Credit to, shout out Mal, old Mal on the WhatsApp. What's going on, my brother? God bless. I remember we were speaking about, the brother was telling me how there was an old tribe, I think they spoke so sacredly that it was like the language of a bird system, like birds, the way birds speak, like a bird system. Very interesting, you know what I mean? But it's supposed to be one of the oldest language systems in the world, you know? But I just find that interesting, and we're here in the beginning in Genesis, and we're dealing with that click sound, that so it's Qedamawi. Qedamawi, Gebere is the next word, Gebere. Now we know, if you know Hebrew, Gabor mean great. Gabor mean great. Like a great man, right? But now we talking about the greatest right now because we're in the beginning of Genesis. There are other ones who was great men and evil too, so you got to be careful. Because you can be, you know, maybe that's that big man syndrome right there. Maybe ones think they're a Geber, you know, like a wannabe Gabor. And I'm not going to, you know, the reason I say wannabe is because you pretending to be righteous, right? But yet you using some kind of, you know, I want like a nahash, like a snake-like technique, right? And you talk and you speak a goodly way, like it seems good, and it seemed to be more harmful. It's interesting, like, you know, like you get into like the whole mental thing. Like if a man grounds himself, he'll see it. But I think that for a woman, you know what I mean? For a woman, it might, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just like with Adam and Eve, with the serpent. Remember Eve, she was talking to it. Adam wasn't talking to it. I kind of thought about that. I was like, Adam couldn't stand that damn thing. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Well, you know, what made itself damned. It was a very beautiful creature. You know what I'm saying? Not to call it, you know, it made itself damned. You know what I'm saying? Though anyway. So Qedamawi, right? That click sound. And yeah, it reminded me of Qedamawi, you know, Qedamawi, right? Now, in Amarinya, we're going to go down from the Goods, and we're in the middle part with Amarinya. We're dealing with the Metzahafi Kadus. So in the first word in the Metzahafi Kadus is Bemeji Meria. Bemeji Meria. Now, this is beautiful because Beruku, I got an old video where I was talking about the women who grind at the upper and lower millstone. You know what I mean? And I remember reading some notes in the 1841 Amharic Dictionary. I was reading some notes in there where it talked about how the women, they were, you know, when they grind at the mill, the upper and lower millstone grinding, right? And I had this vision of this. And I remembered the Meji and the Meji. And I got to go back and look at it again, even get the notes together. And, you know, we can even go over it here because this is what the series is all about. You know, it's breaking down the language so we can understand the relationship. You understand? So as we said, it says, Bemejemeria, and that's in the second. In the third, right? And this is in Tigrinya. I think this is what's pretty cool about this. It was beautiful to study all three of them. And the fact that I had the King of Kings as the basis is even greater because now I can actually not challenge. Well, yeah, if you challenge the king, you challenge the king. You know what I'm saying? But you know you're gonna get ran over. You know you're gonna become prey. So don't do it. You know what I mean? But the thing is that we're able to test. You know what I'm saying? We can test your version now. So if you could come up, oh, I got this Amharic version. Look, check this out right here. Oh, okay, let me see. You know, go test it with the King of Kings. See what I'm saying? Because there have been other Amharic versions written, and they have been written to distort ones also. Yep. There's other versions that we're not going to go into which ones they are right now because I'm not specific on all of them, but I can tell I know what they are. I know it when I see it. You know what I'm saying? So in the third one here, it's interesting because in the Tigrinya, in the Tigrinya, it says Amlaka. No, it says Amalaha, right? Amalaha. Yes, Amalaha. So the first word in the Tigrinya is Amalaha. Like now, if you know Amharic, that's like Amlak. I want to say like Amlak, like Ha Elohim. We were saying the Hebrew would be like God. When the English is God. In the Hebrew, that's the Ha Elohim. You know what I mean? Now over here in Bereshit, right? In the Hebrew is Bereshit, right? Bara. Bereshit bara, right? Now in Goods, when we go to the on the right side of the screen, in the first verse where it says Bekedami, it's Bekedami Gebere. You see that Gebere and then Bara. You see that relationship there? Gebere and Bara. And by the way, I have not even gone even to the definitions of the Kedem. Because I'm finna go get the Kedem in the Hebrew. You know that, right? Yeah. You know that, right? I'm gonna relate them, don't you? Yes, I'm gonna relate them. That's what I plan on doing. That was the point of this series, is for that relationship. But there's the Bara there, and it's interesting because I kind of felt that, I kind of saw that spirit when I was over there. It says, in that Bekedami Gebere, right? Bereshit bara. Now, in the pure language, what it is trying to tell us, right? So the root sense of it is Bemejemeria Igziabihir. If you want to compare, okay? We're comparing. So the roots of all of these, right, is Bemejemeria Igziabihir. We didn't forget Tigrinya, which is Amlaha Bemejereta. See, that's beautiful, and that's what's beautiful about the language system of us as Ethiopian Hebrew peoples all over the world. This is beautiful because I look at how they relate into each other in different ways. Ain't that something? But you still get the mystery system in the language. And just a little studying, that's all. Just a little studying, you know what I'm saying? And really have love for each other as a people. And we can graft these things together. That's how we build industrially. Bana, like in the Hebrew, Bana, build up. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we build industrially. So, as we said, down there says, Amlaha Bemejemerita. That's in Tigrinya, right? So that is the third one. Remember, we over here at the third one. We're at the third one, right? As far as the English goes, the best thing we could get as far as the English translation would go, well, let me not do that. Let's not do that. The best thing we could tell you is the English says, in the beginning, God created. All right? That's kind of as close as you're going to come to what we're saying right now. As a matter of fact, not even that. I would say, if you want to compare it to what we just read out of each of language systems verse, like the Bereshit bara, for the Goods is Bekedami Gebere. For Amarinya, the roots of its rootly intent, the fullness of what it's saying, Bemejemeria Egziabihir, right? And we have Tigrinya in the liturgical Tigrinya, right, which I'm going to say like liturgical Tigrinya, like Hebrew slang, like holy Hebrew slang. Because the rest of it, even the Hebrew, can be seen as like that holy particle as part of the full of the Amarinya. That's why the King of Kings gave us that book of the seven seals, that fullest sense. You know what I'm saying? But that Amlaha Bemejemerita, right, is the in the Tigrinya still refers us to the Bemejemeria, which is interesting. Tigrinya even refers the King of Kings version, the Bemejemeria. You know what I'm saying? We see Maria there, you know, reminding us of Mother Mary, right? Now we know in Hebrew, Barashit is wisdom. Is she, right? We know wisdom is she, right? The Reshit, right? The Reshit right here. Right? Because that's what's in Proverbs right there. All right, that's what's in Proverbs, that Reshit. I don't know if you know, you seen when the Rebbe was going over that. You know what I mean? If maybe you heard that on the channel. If you didn't, then you know you're hearing it now. He going over the Reshit, which is wisdom was there in the beginning. You know what I mean? And I think that's a good saying to say. You know Hashem. You know, the Almighty gives reference to she, wisdom, that wisdom of the woman, almost like just a reference, making a reference. But it's on a much higher scale than that, because we're talking about the all high spiritual power here. You know what I mean? So we're talking about Father Christ, and that wisdom, her, that he's speaking about was there in the beginning. You see what I'm saying? And that's that Reshit sense. You know what I mean? And Reshit sense, and the version that we have of that in the Goods, in the older type, in what we'll call the archetype, is the Qedamawi, Gebere, right? The Qedamawi Gebere. I would say the wisdom part would more fit into the Samaye. If you see that over there in the Goods, that is the fourth word at the first verse in the Goods. Begedami Gebere Xavier. Samaye. You know what I'm saying? That gave me more of the Maya. You see that Maya? Now that's interesting because in the fuller Mereya, right? The Bemeja Mereya, but that's saying like the Semaya, first of all, is saying heaven, the heavens, right? In the pure language of the King of Kings and Amharic, right? That's it would say down there in relation to that word, it would be like Samainana. Though I'm looking for more where the wisdom, the part would fit in there in the Goods, if you will. You understand? Because we know the Qedamawi Gebere is talking about the great Qedamawi, like the great one, the one who, that's how we know he's the former, right? And Ha Elohim, the creator, you know, the Bara, the creator, you know what I'm saying? The former and the creator, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but that's another, that's another goal right there that we want to get into, though. Like I said, that Reshit, the wisdom in the beginning, go down here with the Reshit, and it kind of give us, now, the beautiful thing about this, when you're studying this and you going down into the, you start getting the definitions of the word sound translations, the beautiful thing is that this is also being explanatory for even the Goods. You know what I mean? And also for the Amarinya and Tigrinya. You know what I mean? Because like I say, it's like almost like, how can I say, a family reunion, if you will, right? A family reunion. How the family reunion? Beautiful and lovely, right? Giving thanks and praises to getting away from them city blocks, especially some of us in them harder cities, like New York or H-Town or Philadelphia or Chicago or L.A., you know what I'm saying? Some of them real rough cities, MIA and ATL, you know what I mean? So if you ever been to the country and to see your kinfolk and you get to a family reunion or something, you get thanks to the Lord for, oh man, this breath of fresh air, this country. And we'll speak about like the country, man. I'm glad, because I kind of like, when I was growing up, I had kind of like learned from both versions. I learned the city life, like the man in the city. And then also, I got to go see my cousins do agricultural work back then, or like a real countryman's work. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a real man aspect to a country brother. Also, a country man, do country work, believe in getting work done. I remember when we were younger, we dug a septic tank. I don't know if the youth still do that anymore. if you ever get the chance to be on some land and stuff like that, that's a whole nother thing though, right there. You know what I mean? But yeah, we in the Qedamawi and the Ray sheet. You know what I'm saying? Looking at the Ray sheet on the left side, right there. And I was just gonna take you to over there to Proverbs, where it speaks about it in the book of Proverbs. Let's see if we can go to the book of Proverbs. We got one in Job there. Another beautiful thing is that all the verses that we see also that it goes to in relation to, and we could take this back to the beginning, but it's very interesting how things can be tied together and you can see the good and the bad. Hashem will show you the good and the bad in the message. And that's the beautiful thing about it. That's why we go back into it. We never specify, try to say, oh, this is specifically, and that's where you mess up. You might be getting that big manism where you got to be, I know what I'm talking about. It's not about you necessarily knowing what you talk about, but it's about us interpreting spiritual interpretation and going to a higher level and walking on that water and really meditating on that, educating ourselves that we're able to give an educational lesson to others. Okay? So, God bless. I thank you for attending the Undisputed King of Kings series, part 1. Right? Part 1. Thank you, or really a prelude. Thank you, and to be continued. Shalom.